Welcome to another meeting of TV Holics Anonymous. Quick, hit the follow button so you never miss an episode. You can also follow us on our socials too: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on whatever you're listening to this podcast on. Welcome to another meeting of TV Holics Anonymous. My name is Ruru and I am a TV Holic. So I had like a whole bunch of notes for this episode and they've all vanished. I don't know where the file is. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to go through, I've muted the sound on my TV and I'm just going to go through like what's happening, like by watching on the screen and just talking about it. Again, I did say my name, but Mimi's not here because she does not watch this. If you guys want to know what happened in episode 1, 2, and 3 before I get into episode 4, please go listen to that podcast episode because I've broken down those 3 episodes in one episode because I did watch them all together and then talk about it. I don't know. Oh, also, which is really annoying, I've also recorded this episode before. I've done the whole episode and it didn't record properly, so this isn't a re-record. So it's like really annoying and I lost all my notes as well. So again, bear with me because I'm just looking at the screen and I'm just talking about everything that happened because I did this like about a few days ago and I've kind of like, because I've been watching a lot of TV and like I've got other work and stuff like that to do, I have totally forgotten what happens. So please, like I said, bear with me and I'm going to take you guys through everything that happens. So in the recap, basically, they're just showing all the cute moments. Again, this is episode 4 of Class Crush Crisis. Okay, so in the recap, they just like previously on kind of situation. They're just showing exactly what happened in like the previous episodes, but not really because they're just showing all the cute moments that, you know, like physical contact moments between Lee and Liet. I'm just going to call him Lee and Lirith, I think. But yeah, Lee and Putta. So, you know, like when they accidentally cheek kissed, when Lee accidentally kissed Putta's cheek, and then, you know, other times when they've been on top of each other and stuff like that. So yeah, and then when they were like playing basketball together, and then basically we cut back to, you know, all the guys were hanging out after playing basketball and stuff. It's like 7:30 in the morning and someone's alarm goes off and basically like they realize they're all at Lee's house and everyone wakes up and they're looking for like where like Lee and Putta are, and then they see Putta basically coming out the shower, rinsing his hair, drying his hair, and then they're like, "Where's Lee?" And also, Indy is still really, really depressed, and he's just looking really like sad. And then one of the guys, the guys basically realize that because Putta came out the shower, he has his clothes here and everything. So he's living with Lee. But Lee did not disclose this information to everyone. Only Indy knew. So it was kind of like shocking for everyone else. And then they go on basically to accuse them of being like in a relationship. And they're just like basically, so what's going on between you two? And Lee's just like, we're just roommates, and they're basically interrogating Lee, and they don't believe him until they like go and like, you know, Putta basically says, yeah, I was trying to tell you to one of the guys, but you didn't listen to me because you were busy like, you know, flirting with girls. And then he was like, oh yeah, I remember that. And then they still don't believe them, so they're like, let me check your room. Like, we think you're in a relationship together, Putta and Lee. So one of the guys goes to Putta's Lee's room, not Putta's room, and he walks in. He goes, "I don't want you to go in because it's messy." Lee says that, but he walks in anyway, and he basically steps on Lee's headphones, and Lee is like really upset because he's been using those headphones to like, not disturb Putter because, Lee's music is really loud. And like when he's doing other stuff, he's pretty loud. So he's being very considerate because he cares about Putter's feelings. And then he's really upset, and the guy says, I'll buy you a new pair. I'm really, really sorry, of headphones. And Lee's like, it's okay. And then everyone like runs away and it's like, we believe you now. And they just kind of like run off and go back to their homes, or yeah, because it's I think it's Friday, and they're like, see you on Monday. And then there's kind of like this cute moment between like Lee and Putter, and Putter's just asking Lee, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, and he's just basically explaining, I use these headphones for you. And they're like very, very close. And like Putter's like leaning down, towering over Lee, and they're talking, and it looks like they're about to, have like an intimate moment, but not really. And then they basically just like, Putter's like really, really close to Lee's like mouth area and talking, and then nothing happens really. And Lee's basically imagining Putter saying like, date me and things like that. And then basically Lee says, I have to go stay at my parents', so I'm heading out this weekend because that's what my mom said. And I thought this to be like quite uh interesting because he said he's going to his parents' house, but they didn't show his parents, and they haven't showed his dad since episode 1 of the show. And his mum's just like periodically like, come to the flat, to the apartment, unannounced now and then, but she hasn't been in this episode at all either. So it's a bit weird. If they're referencing characters, I feel like they need to show like him going to their house and like stuff like that, like the parents. If not, what's the point? So basically Lee just like goes to like hop in the shower, I think. Like oh yeah, they keep showing his like heart beating and stuff, and like he's thinking about Putter in the shower as well. And then there's like another scene where we see Lee getting off a motorbike. I think he paid for a ride, and he's saying thanks, and I think he's paying with his QR code, and then he imagines the guy that gave him a ride as being Putter, and like Putter's like pouting his lips at him, and he's just staring, and he's kind of like really happy. And then the delivery guy is like, pay me, I've got to go, like I don't have time for this crap. And then we're back at school again, and he's standing in the queue for food, and he's imagining that the dinner lady is basically Putter. And then he just like shouts at the dinner lady, like, because all he can think about is Putter like all day long. So basically he can't get him out of his mind. And then he sits down next to Indy at lunch, and Indy's like still really depressed over the girl that broke up with him. And then everyone's just staring at at Lee everywhere, because there's like rumors swirling around about, Putter and Lee. But he doesn't know at this point. And then his friends come, the twins come, and they say, have you noticed that everyone's staring at you? And basically Lee is like, yeah, what's going on? And then they kind of like tell him that it's like someone has like put on social media that Putter and Lee are like together, living together. And then basically when one of his other friends comes in, he says, I'm the one who told the girls, one of the girls, and he's like, I'm really sorry. She was really cute, and I wanted to start talking to her, so I had to like come with some gossip or something. So that's what he did. And all the girls are like, kind of like shipping them as a couple together. So like his friend is like really like I would hate to have a friend like that who just goes to spill all my like stuff to someone else. It's like an invasion of privacy and like it's not a friendship that I would keep. So it's weird how like Lee just is like cool with it after. Like he doesn't even if I was him on the show, I would just like remove him as a friend in my life, and plus I'd also remove him as a member of the group that they created. Uh, the social group that they created at school, the school group, and also as a member of the band as well, because all he does, I think, is play the tambourine anyway, so he's like kind of useless in that sense as well. Because this is like a dangerous kind of person, I feel like someone like no one asked him for this information. He just went up to this girl and just started blabbing about Lee and Putter's life, which is crazy. Anyway, so yeah, he admitted to that and he's like, admit to it. And then he's like, basically, I'm sorry. And then Putter comes along and Putter's like, yeah, I already know about the rumors. I don't really care. Um, and he's just really like chilled about the whole situation. Um, and basically they just like leave them and go. They've got class, so the guys like go to class and it's just like Lee and oh, Lee is basically they ask him a question about something and his like eyebrows are twitching and Indy's like, well, that's his tell, basically, that there's something going on between Putter and Lee. Um so then like basically they finished their lunch, which I thought their lunch was amazing. It was like I think it was like noodles, ramen noodles. And if I had lunch like that at school, we only had like gross at school in the UK. We have like gross like school dinners, which were like, ugh. That's what lunch called, school dinners. And it was always grimy and nasty, and it looked like you know something that you don't want to eat. Looked like sludge, basically. We'd get like beans and toast and like jacket potatoes and yes, ordinarily that would taste good, but like school canteen food is disgusting. Anyway, I'm digressing. And then it's just Putter and Lee just sitting on the table, together after the guys get up, and then somebody, from their class, kind of like this girl from their class, sneaks a picture of them two sitting together talking, and then she like promptly like gets on her phone and posts it on the internet, for everyone to basically see, and the whole canteen starts talking about them again, and everyone's like whispering, and then it's just basically a picture of those two sitting together, and it's like saying confirmed that they're together. And Putter doesn't really care; he's just like nonchalant about it. And then it's just Lee confronting the girl, like, "Why did you do this?" And the girl who put it up, and she's like, "Basically, you guys have like really great chemistry," and he's like, "We just live together. There's nothing going on." Um, and then like the biology teacher start like asking like because they're talking, asking the girl like, how do you like answer this question? And she's like, can you repeat the question? And then she just uses AI to record the teacher's voice and then come up with an answer. I wish they had that when I was like in school. Like they had like AI and I could just like answer the question with AI. That would be amazing. Um, and then basically what happens next? Guys, also I've got allergies right now, so that's why my nose is like all stuffed. Before this, sorry, I'm just gonna have to clear my nose. Before this, I had like a really bad like coughing attack. I got a dust allergy and it's just like playing up. So I don't have a bunch of tissues here because I just threw away my tissue, so bear with me. Anyway, so then what happens next? What happens next? So yeah, let's just skip this bit. Like then we see like um people looking at this girl. I forgot who it was in the image. Um saying, in the caption was just another lonely day with myself. I don't know who that girl is. Oh, Faye. Faye, that's Indy's ex, that he dated once. And he's getting more and more depressed about the situation. And Lee's just like, he's super sensitive about it. And everyone wants to like try and cheer Indy up. So in the social group, Lee decides we're going to do something to like basically cheer up Indy. So again, also sorry about my stomach. You will hear my stomach growling periodically as well because I am super hungry and I have not eaten yet. I just thought I'd basically come on here and get the podcast episode done because otherwise I'll forget like to do it. And I'm super, super busy this week, so I just wanted to make sure I got it done and didn't, forget about it. So yeah. So basically they want to do something to cheer up Indy. So what they do is they decide that they like brainstorm some ideas and they basically land on a fortune teller. And they're like, the fortune teller is super, super accurate, so let's go to this fortune teller. So apparently there's a really long queue for this fortune teller. So they get the juniors, the younger guys, to stand in the queue for them to wait for the fortune teller. And they're like, when they get there, they're like, the guys are like, what number are you in the queue? And they're kind of pissed off because they're number 100 in the queue, even though they sent them early, but the queue is so long, so that's what happened. And then they kind of get pissed about that, but they stand in the queue and they wait for the guys to basically get there. And then they show this like kind of like random guy with like, he's got like a different kind of hairstyle, like, long in the back, short in the front, and like really choppy. And he puts his hand up and he says he's ready for number 25. I thought that was the fortune teller, but it's not. It's like some other guy. Everyone's waving to him. It's called. His name is New Year. I think he's like a idol or something, and everyone's like really, really excited. And they're saying he came for a reading with a fortune teller, Gia. The name Gia is quite interesting because I know Gia is like a Italian name too, and it's also like a Korean name as well. So I'm not sure if it's a Chinese name too. If you guys know, comment and let me know. Anyway, so they finally get their turn with the fortune teller, and he's got this big like crystal ball. And when he's reading them, like first they're like shocked when they're like they want to leave because Indy's like, I don't believe in this stuff anyway. Then the fortune teller comes in with his like dramatic like robe and like beads and everything, and he sits down. So they're like, let's just do this. And then he starts like trying to tell like the fortune, but it's all wrong. So they are like really, like, let's just go. He's not exactly accurate. And then Putter said maybe it's because he's closing his eyes. And then so Indy tries to get up. I think he gets up at one point to go, and then he's like, let's just do the card reading because he's the best at the tarot cards. And they get all the, tarot card bits right. So um they're pretty like convinced that he's like legit. He's a legit fortune teller. And then the fortune teller basically also says some stuff about Putter as well, which is quite accurate. And it's about his love life, like because Putter's like, excuse me, Mr. Fortune Teller, like let me just shuffle the deck. So he shuffles the deck and then basically he turns over the card and it's a sun card. He's like, can you ask, answer a question about like if I'm going to get into a good school or something like that, about his studies basically, and will I get into like architecture school? And he's like, these cards aren't about your study, it's about your love life. And he's like, basically someone's going to confess to you or something like that. And then so Putter was like, okay. Then they basically leave Indy with the fortune teller. Basically, the fortune teller says that basically if you like, he basically convinces Indy to uh do some other rituals with him. He's like, I'm free whenever. Not whenever. I'll like basically message you if you're interested, let me know. The fortune teller gave him his card, and Indy said, yeah, I'm interested. And he said it's the first Saturday after the finals, at exactly 12:25 p.m. So he said, I'll send you the location. And he's basically like, ask me anything else for the remaining 30 minutes. And then we just basically cut to a scene. And I felt like this was like really like, crafty of the fortune teller guy. And the fortune teller guy, let's talk about him as well, because he is basically the same age as them, which is really weird as well. And then I expected it to be a wise old fortune teller. And I expected it to be a female for some reason as well. So kind of like witchy vibes, but it wasn't. It was just like a school kid. And then basically, I think that he was like, at this point, I really thought that he was taking advantage of Indy because he was going to use like Indy's pain and suffering to kind of get close to him or like, kind of like date him or, just try and extract as much money as he can out of him, doing like stupid rituals and saying this is going to cleanse you or like make you forget about her, etc., etc. And then so let's just move on to the next scene. So this is like a scene with Indy and Putta, and Indy basically convinces Putta to draw him because they're sitting on the side of a lake or something, a river or a lake or like a pond. And I thought this is quite risky because I know Thailand has a lot of like snakes and a lot of like, deadly creatures. So isn't this kind of dangerous? Correct me if I'm wrong, because I have not been to Thailand before, so I don't know. But it looked kind of like scary to me because although it's like a beautiful, tranquil, like looking scene, I was just like afraid of the wildlife situation, if you get what I mean. Okay, so they're basically Indy's like practicing for architecture school, and then Lee convinces him to draw him, and so Putta starts drawing him, and then Lee can't concentrate, like stay still, because he's imagining Putta like ask him out or something like that. And then basically he draws a picture, and he realizes that it's like, I mean, it's really good, and Lee wants to keep the picture, basically. Then the next scene is Indy meeting in the summer break in the semester after the exams, going to meet the fortune teller Gia, and he's sent the coordinates, and it's Siam Square, I believe it is. And so I think this is like a shopping mall, like kind of complex situation in Thailand, in Bangkok. Um, well, I think it's Bangkok that they're in. I'm not quite sure, so don't quote me on that. And he's basically, Gia's watching Indy walk by, and then they basically go on like this kind of adventure thing when they're doing a whole bunch of things to make him forget about, like cleanse his soul or whatever, and it will make you kind of like forget about um your ex-girlfriend. So basically, first task is to cut his hair. So he cuts his hair, and he feels great, and he looks great, and he's really happy. And then the next thing is to change his clothes. I mean, buy new clothes. Um, and then he's like, well, you can burn them tomorrow, uh, but you had to get new clothes because that's part of the ritual. And then basically, he gives him a bracelet as well. I think it's like a cat's eye, gemstone on the bracelet. And then they're just laughing and joking. They're enjoying like their time together, and um, there's like more stuff to do. That now they're going to go play paddle, um, and then archery they're doing together, and they go karting together. they're basically having fun. I feel like this is definitely like a date situation and he is taking advantage of him. And then there's also like they're playing in a arcade, they're playing like this basketball thing, and then they're playing like football and the punching machine as well. Everyone loves a good punching machine. And then they're like doing some VR stuff. And they're just basically having like a lot of fun. And, I feel like he's grooming Indy at this point, Gia, the fortune teller. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention he's not in all his fortune telling gear. Um, and I'm not sure. I think that he paid for this. Not the fortune. Yeah, the fortune teller paid for this, the arcades situation. And then Indy's feeling great. And basically, the fortune teller, Gia's like, you've released all your energy now. And the last thing that's left to do is to just like delete Faye's contact info. And then Indy's like hesitant about that, but eventually kind of like does it. So like unfollows her from socials and deletes her number. And he's like, you'll feel empty at first, but it will be okay. And then basically Indy is like just walking around aimlessly and he's really sad because he's remembering her again. And then the fortune teller's basically sitting there throwing leaves on him. And he's like, this is part of the ritual as well. Like while he's lying down and stuff. And then um they're kind of chatting and he's like, I'm free, so do you wanna come and like watch my friend's performance? Because the girl band is doing a performance and all the guys are already there and all the girls from school as well are already there. And everyone looks really like dressed up and stuff and they've got these big clips in their hair, the girls. And they've also, got like their school clothes were quite like matronly, and now they're like super super dressed up. So some of them are wearing like midriff exposing tops and stuff like that, and uh like more like figure hugging like kind of clothes, and they're just like waiting for Indy to get there, and like Putter and Lee are already there, and the rest of the guys, like I said, and basically the girl group start singing. I forgot what they're called. The girl group. I'm sure it's gonna like come up, flash up on the screen in a minute. But they've got a guitar and they're just basically on a street. Like the backdrop is just like the street, and I don't know like how they set all this up and everything. It's just like all a bit strange. I think it's like Cat something. I don't know. Remember the name of the group. Um, and one of the girls is the girl that is in a lesbian relationship with the other girl in the crowd. And um, I think she's like singing to her, and like the other girl in the crowd is recording. And she's just like so happy. And Putter says like, I think I don't know if Putter was offering to like, oh no, Lee offers to record the song, and then they finish the song, and Indy's there, and he's with Gia, and then uh, he's just basically saying that you look different, and Indy's like, yeah, it's because of Gia, and he helped me. And I think they're called Lazy Meow Meow. Um, I think their band is called, the guy's band is Lazy Meow Meow. I'm not sure if it's the girl or the boys band. And then so the girl band says that our friends have a band too, and they force them to get up on stage. So they all go up on stage and they start like, recording, and not recording, they start like, performing, and we see that Putter is like recording Lee. And Lee, it looks like Lee and Putter like singing, like Lee's singing to Putter, and Putter is just like really like happy and recording him, and everyone's singing along and everyone's dancing and jumping around. Then you see basically it's uploaded on Putter's social media, and Lee is sitting on the toilet on the bog, and he's just watching the recording, and he's just basically, contemplating life and like thinking like, why is his camera pointing at me the whole time? Like, I don't get it. So he's basically searching. He pulls up Chat GPT. I didn't even know Chat GPT was like multilingual. Uh, well, I guess it is because it does these kind of like AIs always translate stuff for you as well. And okay, so then basically Chat GPT says a whole bunch of crap, and Lee can't be bothered to read it, and he's like, it's too long. He gets off the toilet, and then for some reason, it didn't look like he was having a shower, but it's all steamed up, and so he just, but like before he leaves, he just does, um, he's just like listening to what it says, like psychological hormone stuff, and it's like basically saying that the person's into you, and then he's like angry, and he's like, we're just friends, and then he draws all these hearts all over the steamed up mirror, and then he like Putter's like right outside the bathroom, and then Putter goes in the bathroom and he sees all these hearts, and he's like wondering what's going on, and then basically Putter's playing or like doing something on his phone, playing a game on his phone, and they're like on the floor, and he's on the Putter's on the floor, and uh Lee is on the bed, and they're just like chatting, and it's like it's like a really like romantic situation. They're looking to each other's eyes and lips and stuff like that, and they're just like, flirting without flirting and without telling each other about each other's the way they feel. And Putter says, I'll cook for you, because Lee's stomach made a noise. So Putter goes to cook, and then Lee eats it, and it doesn't taste very good, and Lee's just very honest with it. And then Putter's like, sorry, I'll do a better job next time. And Putter's upset because his mum's like a chef. So he's like, sorry, I didn't taste it. Next time I'll taste it, and I'll do better next time, basically. So then like Lee's off to bed, and Putter's pretty upset. And then Lee's off basically the next day. I don't know where he's off to. Oh, he had to bring props. No, Putter had to bring props, and Lee said, I'll carry it for you. I'll help you carry it. And this basically, I think it kind of makes him late to his band practice. I think they're going to band practice. I'm not quite sure. But they're kind of like flirting because they're putting their shoes on and sitting next to each other on the kind of like footstool situation next to the door. By the way, this apartment and everything in the apartment is so freaking amazing. Like, I just didn't know that like there was places like this in Thailand. Like, I thought Thailand is just like, like beachy, and I know it's my uneducated, like, because I haven't been there, like, opinion on Thailand, but it's so beautiful, like the apartment, and I'd love to like live in an apartment like that. It's very, very cute. It's not, doesn't give like, they keep calling it a dorm room. It doesn't give like American dorm room vibes, and it also doesn't give like, you know, halls of residence in like the UK, in UK universities, and I don't think it is. I think it's just an apartment in Thailand, and they're just renting out because the mum rented it out, gave like rented it, sub rented it, sub rented it to, not rented it, rented it to Putta, because he needed someone, she needed someone to look after Lee because Lee's like unpredictable. So yeah, so Lee is helping Putter tie his shoelaces, and Putter's looking at him, and then they're kind of like staring into each other's eyes, and then there's loads of tension like that, and then Putter flicks him in the lips or the chin. Lee flicks Putter in the chin, and then Putter basically then like shoves him, and then they're like basically just like playing with each other really playfully and um getting out the doorway and like, carrying the stuff and like, oh, he forgot the stuff, and then he goes back to get the stuff. Lee forgot all the stuff. And then basically um you see the two guys, they're like walking to like, I think it's Siam, the shopping complex again, and Posa stops Lee from like crossing the road. He's like, we got to use the crosswalk because there's a signal there, and basically it's much more safer. And Lee's like, oh, you really care about me? And he's like, no, it's because like I don't want like to be in trouble because like your mom, I can't like let you get hit because I've taken responsibility for you, and your mom would kill me if something happened to you. So if you cross there, basically, and I gave her my word. And then they're just like walking to a guitar shop, and Lee is like looking at headphones, and Put like, that's really, really expensive, that pair. And he's like, I'll tell your mom if you go to buy them. And Lee is like, well, I'm going to buy them anyway because I've been saving for it. So I'm just going to use my savings. And then basically Lee's just trying them on, and Put is just admiring him. And they're just like having another like cute moment. And then Lee puts them on Putter, and Putter's just like, really happy about it, and they're just like being cute. And then it's the nighttime, and then they just show a new day. I don't know why they did that weird transition from night to day. And you just see basically Putter walking through this kind of like subway kind of tunnel kind of situation. When I say subway, I mean that's what we call it in the UK. It's just like basically an underground walkthrough, and it's like it kind of looks like he's walking through a metal tin, but not really a metal tin, kind of like an air conditioning vent or something like that, but he's not. It's just that kind of situation. And then he's basically he's just seeing all these things that everyone's writing about them too on social media. And he kind of like makes a decision that he's going to do something. He looks across the road, and he sees Lee, and he sees like Lee walking across the road, up to him, standing in front of him. And then he kind of like, I think it's not Lee, he just imagined Lee being there. And then he's like, I've got to do something. So he goes to meet up with one of the girls, the lesbian couple, and he's calling her sister. Um and he's asking for advice, like, how did you know that you wanted to confess to Summer, I think the other girl is that she's in a relationship with, and she's like, well, she was going to move school, so I thought that I had to like basically tell her, and then just doing like a lot of backstory between that couple, and then she kind of like confessed to her in front of everyone, in front of the whole school, basically, and then Summer said yes, and they were together and hugging, and then basically Putter just gets inspired by that, and he's like, thank you for all your advice. And he goes back home, and he records a voice memo on Lee's computer, and he kind of like confesses and tells him, I've got something to tell you, and he leaves it for Lee. So then Lee comes home, and he's just like recording, like playing the guitar in his room, and then I think he hears it. No, yeah, eventually, basically, he puts on. No, he's just like listening. And oh, Lee is at Putter's at some kind of class situation. He's doing some kind of like class. And then Lee realizes there's an extra recording on here, and he's about to delete it. But then he kind of plays it, and he realizes it's Lee, and he's just like so happy. And we hear him like confessing like everything. And I thought they could have done this like a better way, because like even his reaction to the confession, Lee's reaction to the confession wasn't that great as well. if your crush just confessed to you. I know he did run out to go and see him, and he tried to find where he was on like social media and stuff like that, like all the clip. He went to his Instagram to see like where he's been posting, and he found out he was in Siam Square, and he was just kind of like following the trail, and then he thought he couldn't find him anymore, so he kind of gave up and just like ends up sitting next to the water feature and putting his hand in the water, and it's wet, and then they turn around, they're both sitting there and they see each other, and then basically Lee goes like around to like sit next to Putta, and they're kind of quiet for a minute, and Lee's just looking at Putta, and Lee's like really worried and anxious, and not Lee, Putta's worried and anxious, and Lee's just like, I heard you're recording, and Lee's like, my phone died and I forgot my charger, kind of thing, and he's like, why didn't you pick up your phone when I tried to call you? So that he was like, no, because my phone died and everything. And he's just like, yeah, I listened to it. And Putta's like, oh, okay, so what did you think? And he's like really nervous and scared for Lee's reaction. And Lee's basically like, after I heard it, I finally realized who the reader meant by when what he meant by when someone's going to confess to you. So, like they're talking about Gia, the fortune teller, and then basically Lee just confesses that, he wants to be with Putta, and then Putta kind of basically gives him like a gift. They're just kind of like happy, and they're like, so this is like we're like together now, and I'm gonna break the rules with you, and they both decide to break the rules. And then the gift, he's like, I got one, and I got buy one get one free, so this is for you too. And this is like the first gift like to commemorate our relationship. And so Lee is like really happy and smiling, and basically they decide to he's like, you're blushing. Lee's like, you're blushing, and Putta's like, let's go back to our room. And Putta's like, don't get all cheesy and stuff. And Lee's just looking at the gift, and they get up to go. And I feel like at this moment, like one of the classmates or something is probably like filming this or like taking a picture, and Lee takes a picture of the present that Putta gave him. And he's like, it's our day one gift. And it's not cheesy at all. And um I feel like there's these two schoolgirls behind them, and one of them takes a picture. So I don't know if that's part of this or not, or what. They didn't show that close up or anything. You could just see it because from the aerial view, you could just see it. This picture being taken. So this picture being taken from behind them. So I'm not sure if that's like what's going on. I think that's going to be all over school, and those two like recorded them or something like that, and like put it up on social media, on X or whatever they keep talking about, and Instagram, and they're going to be like the talk of the town. So I thought like they should have done like an in-person confession, and it would have been like more impactful if they did it like, face to face. Not face to face, but like back at their like apartment. It would have been more impactful. He could have waited for him, and you could have like put petals down or done something romantic and confessed to him. And I know he was scared. He said he was scared of Lee's reaction to the whole situation. He didn't know if Lee was going to take it well or badly, and that's why like he didn't, because I didn't think he knew Lee's like sexual orientation, so that's what he was a bit worried about. But it kind of all worked out. But I think now there's going to be like a big problem with like everyone finding out, and maybe his mom's going to make Putta move out, and or he might make Lee move back home, because like that's like they're living together, so like it's a bit too much for like high school kids like to be living together if they're in a relationship and stuff like that. I don't know what's going to happen, because his mom did say in the previous episode like, oh, Putta's so good, like when Putter made that meal for his mom. Not made the meal. Like I can't remember what it was. His mom made the meal for Putter or something like that. Um, and he's like, he's so good. I'd love to have him as a son-in-law. And he was like, for my daughter. And then she was like, for my daughter. And then she was like, or for my son. So I think she's like cool with him being like, whatever orientation he wants to be, whatever sexual orientation he wants to be. So I thought that was quite interesting as well. I didn't realize how fluid everyone is in Thailand. I didn't know it was like, I think it must be like one of the most like, LGBTQIA plus friendly places on the planet, probably, because everyone like there seems to be a lot of gay like dramas in Thailand. So that's quite interesting. I knew the whole like ladyboy like phenomenon kind of situation, but I didn't know about this, like how everyone's like, very like, cool about things. So that was really interesting. I'm really enjoying this show, and I hope they like dramatize it a bit more, because I know there's 8 episodes altogether and we're already on episode 4. So I wonder what they've got, because now they're together. They didn't really drag that out for long, but I was right. I predicted in the last episode, if you guys listen to what I said, I predicted that he's probably going to confess. One of them are probably going to confess to each other in this episode, and that actually did happen. So I was like pleasantly surprised by that, but also like I like it when the shows like drag it on a bit, because it's like once they're together, it's like the mystery or like the tension is not there anymore. So like I wonder what other things they're gonna add. Maybe there's a lot of friend drama, or like I said, like the parents get pissed about the situation. I wonder what's gonna happen. And also there's that other element of like Indy and Gia now. I feel like Gia, like I said, groomed Indy, and I think they're gonna be together now. So I wonder what's happening there. Or they could just become like best friends, and like Lee and Indy, like, because their relationships feels like a little bit fractured. It could, they could end up hitting each other, because like everyone said that like we don't want you guys to. I mean, Lee made everyone agree like not to date, especially don't date anyone in their like their school club. So I think this might be like a point of contention for everyone. So yeah, I will be doing a lot of more recaps whenever I can by myself as well, just to give you guys more content. And Mimi's gonna be also doing some, I think, stuff with me pretty soon. We're gonna finish Love Lab, and then we're gonna be moving on to like some other shows as well. Better Late Than Single and Badly in Love. They're all on Netflix. So yeah, see you guys soon. Bye. Quick, hit the follow button so you never miss an episode. You can also follow us on our socials too: Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on whatever you're listening to this podcast on.